Hello everyone and welcome to episode 52 of The DIG. I'm pleased to have Progesys back on The DIG as they recently made an exciting acquisition in Brazil. And we will cover off the biggest stories hitting the headlines in 6 and 60. Progesys is a global expert in project management and the successful transitioning of capital projects to operations. Recently, they acquired project management firm Acttio in Brazil. This strategic transaction provides Progesys a physical presence in the region to serve the South American market. Let's find out more, but first it's time for our 6 and 60. Newmont is letting go of mining claims in the Yukon to support the government and First Nations efforts to maintain environmentally sensitive areas. The Australian government approved loans of $239 million for two Australian companies under the country's $2 billion critical minerals facility. A Canadian fuel standard starting later this year is expected to add $50 a ton in carbon costs on top of the $170 carbon tax. Australia's Foreign Investment Review Board approved the merger between Agnico Eagle and Kirkland Lake Gold. Battery material stocks skyrocketed in 2021, with lithium leading the way at the expense of the gold sector. But Wood Mackenzie expects the metals market to rebalance in 2022 because of the improved supply chains and higher interest rates. And that is your 6 and 60. Most companies would not think of starting with Brazil as the first country to set up in Latin American market. But that is exactly what Progesys has done. To help understand why, we are fortunate to have with us Marcelo Figueiredo, the gentleman leading the charge in Brazil for Progesys. Hello, Marcelo. Welcome to The DIG.
Hi, Ryan. Thank you.
So before we get talking a little bit about Progesys and their exciting acquisition that was done in Brazil, can you talk a little bit about who you are and what you represent for the company in Brazil?
I'm a 30 years plus professional in mining industry. So I started my career in Vale, and I worked for Vale for 20 plus years, whether here in Brazil and also in Middle East, in Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Australia, and also in Canada. And alongside the 30 years of experience, I met Progesys firstly in a project back 2010 in Middle East, where we had an opportunity to work together for the commissioning and operational readiness at that time. And from that point, we started running many other experiences together. So, and the last few years, I was living in Canada as the CTO for mining division of ArcelorMittal in North America. And also we had some experience together. So, and talking about the new venture of Progesys in Brazil and South America, it started back to 3 to 4 years ago when Progesys started trying to get some opportunities in this portion of the world, in South America, Latin America in general. And actually, when we met and after some experiences together in the consultancy wise, so we were asked to start running a process of M&A, probably one of the best way to do that in this portion of the world. And we finally worked and incorporated a new Brazilian entity as a result of M&A process. This was, I would say, this acquisition was one process that is, let's say, closing one very important process of interaction between the Progesys internationally, some of the opportunities in infrastructure, in mining industry, and other industries here in South America and in Latin America, mainly because of a special and different approach in project management consultant that Progesys has, having let's say, one differential in terms of transition to operations approach. So instead of that classic vision of project management with a strong focus in engineering and construction, yes, this is part of the game. However, so having in mind many processes and unsuccessful projects in the past and following the dam breaks here in Brazil. So the Brazilian market wants to breathe fresh air, and that this is an opportunity for foreigner companies. And the Progesys could perceive this opportunity, and we worked having in mind the risks and success factors for sustainable operation, optimizing commissioning, optimizing OR, operational readiness, and optimizing the business perception within the process, the whole cycle of project. There was a strategic decision from Progesys to land here in South America and Brazil, and I had the privilege of supporting them to work on that.
Okay, and so yeah, and you're, as you mentioned, you're no stranger to the value that Progesys brings, and why you're part of this this exciting acquisition down in Brazil, and you're leading the charge with this. And I don't think we've mentioned it, but you've acquired, you searched and you've acquired a company called Acttio. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, actually. The process started with a debate of so what is the best way to land in such a new and complex country. So, and the final decision also was the acquisition would be the best way to move forward. So, and from that point, we started with partnership of local entities here and leading here also from my side. So searching companies that could fit in terms of scope, in terms of reputation, and in terms of values on what Progesys believe, and also process of course, the natural due diligences and so on. And so Acttio has been found as a company that fits perfectly to everything. So starting from similar values, the human being at the center of everything, a very good reputation in the mining industry here in Brazil, and working for several clients also in the infrastructure sector, and fitting in terms of value and in terms of reputation. The technical aspects were the second step to move forward, and after the diligence and negotiation, it fits perfect. So, and besides the process of fitting in terms of philosophy, in terms of strategy, in terms of values, so the complementarity between Progesys expertise developed alongside the almost 20 years of Progesys in Canada, in Middle East, in Asia, and other countries, and also what Acttio has here in Brazil, in South America. So just to mention a few aspects that brings the reputation, Acttio's reputation, is, for instance, audit services for even working for the big players worldwide. So also aspects related to ESG. ESG, everybody probably is aware about the importance of ESG for the mining industry, for the manufacturing industry, for the infrastructure as a whole. And Acttio has been developing along the last few years one strong expertise, whether in terms of skill set installed inside. So many of the professionals in Acttio nowadays are PMP-D Pro, which is the certification for ESG professionals, and also developed together with partners tools and methodologies for working within this environment of projects and industry in ESG, whether in building up, let's say, methodologies and policies, and also in the reporting and KPIs, controls, and so on and so forth. So it's a good marriage, I would say.
Yeah, and you know, aside from finding obviously a great fit for I'll call it the Progesys family, you know, Brazil. A lot of people. That's usually not the first country you go to put a beachhead into South America. So, are there any other reasons why it was Brazil?
Look, yes, Brazil is, let's say that now the hub for Latin America, South America mainly, uh, in many businesses coming from the infrastructure and the industry in general, and it's natural to start landing here in Brazil. But the target at the end of the day is to work within the whole Latin American environment, starting from South America countries such as Peru, Colombia, Argentina, Chile, and also reaching the Central American, Mexico, and others. So, and Brazil as the biggest country, it's a market of 210 million people. A country that in the last few years is sophisticating some of its legislation and the bureaucratic aspects for attracting foreigners, new companies, and so on. So there is a gap here in the country and also in other countries in the region of having service providers, also suppliers for many aspects in terms of the projects in the region here. So, and then naturally, having said that, together with the one a natural approach, you know that Progesys has been working for almost 20 years in mining industry in many of the big players, the main players of mining worldwide. Most of them, if not all, they have businesses here in this portion of the world. And it's a natural question when you have a relationships. Look, so yes, we are doing a good partnership here. We're doing a different job, a different approach, and we are getting outstanding results here. So what if we go together to South America to work together as well? So, okay. And so this is a kind of opportunity together with strategy to come to this portion here and moving with a high level of know-how in project management, in transition to operations, bringing new capabilities to the market, to the regional market here, in a positive bias, because most of the current clients are already working here and collecting some not fantastic results, and really there are needs in place here. So, and we believe that Progesys can, and now Progesys Acttio can definitely fill up these necessities, these needs here in the local and regional market. So it's important also to say that the South American market is a maturity market growing. Of course, there are some aspects related to the deployed from the pandemic, deployed from the less political aspects happening here, but potentially, and this is predictions for wherever you go. So you see that the next few years, and considering the preparation here in Brazil and the South American countries for growing, the perspectives are extremely positive, and this is, I would say, one out of many good reasons to land here in Brazil.
Okay, and that's what I've heard too, is that, you know, just Brazil alone has some pretty astounding numbers coming out of what the potential projects, just in the value, the tens of billions, I understand. And so that kind of, I can see why that's a strong draw for getting into Brazil, and it makes sense. You mentioned some of the challenges and the in terms of potentially the political environment, but I don't think anywhere in the world is immune to that aspect. So that uncertainty, I think, is just a new normal, if you will, including the COVID. So that aside, sounds like there's so much potential, and to that point, Progesys' kind of specialty of making sure capital projects maintain their NPV into transferring into operations. Sounds like a very bright future for Progesys.
Yes, we strongly believe so, because coming back to that, I mentioned about the 210 million only here in Brazil. So the level of investments only mining sector for the next 4 years announced here, and this number is always changing, but we're talking about around 50 billion US dollars in investments the next 4 years, only mining sector. And also, so just to mention that in TSX, in LMG, so in other markets, so dozens of Brazilian junior companies are going and opening IPOs and so on. So there are an exciting movement in the market. So toward to new ventures, to new projects. So it is challenging, yes, but on the other hand, it is where we believe that some of the vectors of investments are coming to, mainly in the sectors such as commodities in general, infrastructure, and coming to mining, which is our sector. So definitely it is a good challenge. We can see several synergies. We can see a reasonable value. So nowadays we have let's say a set of good opportunities, together with a moment where we have one positive exchange rate, let's say, as well, and in terms of regulation, many things positively coming to the entrepreneurial environment.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like a really exciting acquisition for Progesys. Exciting times for yourself in Brazil and North America, and the future certainly looks bright. So I want to thank you very much, Marcelo, for taking the time for us to share this exciting story about Progesys.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for the opportunity to share with you here some of the recent achievements of Progesys here in the South America. And I would say that the future is from what we are perceiving. So the future is a very positive, and we are very optimistic with the possibilities and perspectives here. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Take care. That's it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank our guest, Marcelo Figueiredo from Progesys. And remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Mining Suppliers and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the instant access to all our episodes of The Dig. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Ryan McEachran. Take care and stay safe.